Hi, I'm Pamela Atwood, gerontologist and owner of the Atwood Dementia Group Consulting and Coaching. And this is video 3 or C in our Confident Caregiver Series. And this is the A to Z's of Alzheimer's care and dementia care. And in C, for this one, we're going to talk about communication. Communication is one of the subjects that I get asked about a lot. Actually, I probably don't get asked about it as much as I do observe challenges with it. So a lot of times when an older adult or a younger person has dementia, they have changes and challenges in their communication. One of the common things is they will say something that's not true or not accurate, or maybe is partly true but not quite. And as a caregiver, our natural instinct is to correct them. And our professionals in professional dementia care know that our mantra is don't argue, instead agree. Now, as a daughter, if my parent says something that I know is just totally not true, my gut instinct is to correct them because that's natural. My mom and dad have always been competent and confident, and therefore it's upsetting to me when they say something that seems kind of odd or wrong or just totally out to lunch. So our natural instinct is to argue with them. And as a caregiver, I might say, well, I'm not arguing, I'm just correcting them. So instead of saying don't argue, what I'm going to say is stop correcting. There's no point in it. It only makes them feel crazy or stupid. And I always say people with Alzheimer's have two fears. They don't want to sound crazy and they don't want to look stupid. And that's probably true of all of us, regardless of our cognitive status. So for communication, I want to propose a couple of different things. So if someone says, oh, well, no, I'm a fine cook. I've always been cooking, and you know that they've been making spoiled food or, have not cooked very much at all. Dad was always the cook, but now he's gone, or what have you. Instead of correcting them, say, yes, and tonight we're going to do this instead. So that we're saying yes and, so we're agreeing instead of just saying, no, Mom, that's not true, because that's to them argumentative. The other thing is, okay, in the meantime, let's do that, or let's whatever. So we're going to say, okay, we're going to validate or say, I believe your reality. In the meantime, we'll try something else. Or you could try something like, I'm curious if, so for instance, if Mom says, I've always been the cook in this family, say, I'm curious if you ever felt worn out from that. I would think that after all those years of cooking, you'd want a break. All right, who's going to argue with that? I would say, yeah, bring it on. I hate cooking. I don't want to be cooking every night. I can't stand the fact that if it wasn't for me saying, hey, is anybody else going to make dinner tonight? I left the menu on the side of the fridge. No one else is going to cook. All right. Another common problem or communication change is repetitive questions. And a lot of times repetitive questions come just from sheer boredom. When a person has a cognitive impairment, they aren't going to necessarily remember the answer to their question, but the underlying motivation for asking it is still there. One of my very silly stories from when my grandmother had Alzheimer's disease. We were driving down the road. I had gone to get her ice cream because she loves ice cream, or loved ice cream, and always that would put a smile on her face. So we're coming back with our ice cream, and she said, Pam, I think this side of the road is wider than that side of the road. And as a caregiver, you start from a sense of rational thought. You say, actually, Graham, Uncle Bo said that it's 11 feet on both sides on the state highway, so I know that it's 11 feet. It may just be your perspective of where you're sitting over here. This side looks like it's wider than that side. That was stupid. I don't know what I was thinking. I didn't even understand it when Uncle Bo explained it to me. Why did I think my grandmother with Alzheimer's was going to understand it? But there you have it. So the next thing is she'll say in 2 minutes, Pam, I think this side of the road, 11 times she asked me that same or made that same statement. Finally, I had to pull over, get out of the car, go to the trunk, and scream my fool head off. I was so annoyed and frustrated. Now, the person with dementia has no idea why I'm acting so irrationally because she doesn't remember the other 10 times that she's asked me the question or made the comment. I need to adapt. I need to look at what is this behavior saying. Just like we talked about in the B video about all behavior has meaning, someone who's saying, I think this side of the road is saying, I don't know how to make small talk anymore. I don't know how to change the conversation. As a confident caregiver, I need to be creative. I need to have resources in my hip pocket of things to always love to talk about. For my grandmother, simple: church, church music, the rosary, the women's auxiliary at the church. I mean, all of the different things that were church related. Buddy, my dad, her son, who she absolutely doted on and loved. Auntie Elaine, my cousins, Windsor, anything to do with Windsor. It could have been anything. There were so many other things that I could have talked to her about. I needed to be creative at that point. I needed to change the subject. So in the professional world, we use a process or a strategy called distract and redirect. And it starts like this: Pam, I think this side of the road is wider than that side of the road. Huh, Graham, you're probably right. I'd never noticed that before. Hey, speaking of the road, what was the name of that road that you guys used to live on when Daddy was a little boy, when Buddy was little? Because she might not remember that he's my dad. When Buddy was little. Oh, that was Skitchawog Street. And what was the name of the dog you had when you lived on Skitchawog Street? Sandy, that was. So I'm going to her strength, which is her long-term memory, and tapping in there. Now it's not just the uncomfortable nothingness of needing to make small talk. Now I'm engaging in a conversation. I'm distracting her from thinking about the road, which is only going to make me frustrated. Now, this is a very simple process. A very simple example, and I don't want to say that this is something that's simple to correct. As a caregiver, you have to have the energy to do this. It is exhausting, and that's why these stupid little conversations are so frustrating to caregivers, because we as caregivers are exhausted and having to always be in someone else's head at the same time. But as a confident caregiver, if I know I need to always be thinking about what does Graham want to talk about, then those little moments I'll recognize and say, oh, Graham's bored. She's at the end of her ice cream and she doesn't know what else to talk about. I need to come in here. So as a confident caregiver, I hope some of these tips on communication will help you. In the meantime, please remember to subscribe and let us know that you like these videos, and that way you'll get alerted when we make a new one. Also, make sure you go to atwooddementiagroup.com. If you put in a personal question that you have there about your dementia caregiving experience, I'm happy to send you a personalized response on video. Thanks so much and have a confident day.